nobody can be same long time. Nobody. No Tony Ferguson, no Khabib, nobody. And one day, someone gonna beat you or something gonna happen. God don't give to nobody. It's like power, like reaction, mental, everything in one level always. One day it's gonna be go down, and his day come. Now he gonna come back. Someone gonna beat him again. I believe because when you take damage like this, you never gonna be same. Never ever. Even if you Tony Ferguson. He take too much damage. You see how he tap, how he give up end of the five round. He go like this. Tony Ferguson's time is finished.
If you're familiar with Tony Ferguson's career, then you know that it has been one hell of a roller coaster ride. The former UFC lightweight champion has given mixed martial arts fans some amazing moments we won't be forgetting anytime soon. As all eyes focus on El Cucuy and his next fight with Micheal Chandler, maybe the end of an era. It might not be official yet, but MMA fans are already gearing up for a fight between Tony Ferguson and Micheal Chandler. If history is anything to go by, then it's going to be a spectacle watching these fighters go at themselves in the ring.
Dana White said that Tony Ferguson, Micheal Chandler is the fight that they're eyeing next. It's the fight that they want to make. This is a strange one to me, DC, because in Tony Ferguson, right, you have a dude that went on a double digit, 12 fight win streak.
Yep, 12 fight winning streak, interim champion,
right, and never, and then you got Micheal Chandler who comes in, he wins one fight and he gets a chance to fight for the belt. And now you got two of the most exciting guys in the UFC, Tony Ferguson, who has shown us that his toughness and his pain threshold may be different than anyone who is fighting in the UFC right now. Are you excited about this fight? Is this the right time to make this fight?
You know what's crazy? Tony Ferguson won 12 fights in a row, became the interim champ. The week he was supposed to fight Khabib, he goes to do media at Fox, trips over a wire and tears his knee. So he never gets the Khabib fight. They were scheduled to fight 4 or 5 times. That dude trips on the wire, tears his knee up. Khabib ends up fighting Al Iaquinta. Now Khabib's gone. Now Tony has lost fights in a row. The Justin Gaethje fight showed that time was starting to catch up with Tony Ferguson. Yes. But has anyone come into the organization and had bigger fights than Micheal Chandler?
Dana White has confirmed that the matchup between these lightweights is a matter of when and not if. Those who know their stuff understand what Tony Ferguson brings to the ring. As one of the best lightweights to ever compete in the UFC, Ferguson has got history on his side. He was riding on the wave of 12 successive wins until his crushing defeat to Gaethje in the 5th round. For a man who had a title shot at the UFC lightweight champion at UFC 249, that defeat must be devastating. The same thing can be said about 3-time Bellator lightweight champion Micheal Chandler. Chandler went head-to-head with Charles Oliveira for the vacant UFC lightweight championship after former champion Khabib Nurmagomedov retired. It didn't take long for Chandler to knock down Oliveira in the 1st round, but things quickly took a bad turn and he lost the fight via TKO in the 2nd. He also lost to fellow lightweight title challenger Justin Gaethje in a brutal fight at UFC 268. Chandler's fight with Gaethje was regarded as the fight of the year 2021 by various mixed martial arts media outlets and the UFC. The fight of the year loss is something Micheal Chandler will want to put behind him as soon as possible. That being said, fans should expect an explosive fight between Ferguson and Chandler, as both men have a lot on the line. In an interview with CBS Sports, Micheal Chandler claimed to have a strategy that will help him dominate the fight with Tony Ferguson. Chandler said he was going to focus on the basics and keep the pace very high through the fight. He acknowledged that Tony loved to keep a high pace, but he's going to take things further by being even sharper. He also boasted about how no one has been able to catch him in a submission hold, and this is going to be his edge. He told the reporter that at this time, the most important thing to him was getting in good shape and laying the groundwork for the fight. If Chandler can execute his strategy successfully, then it's possible that he comes out of the fight victorious. He might still have to dig deep to get a knockout, but we like to believe that nothing is impossible in MMA. Nobody needs to tell Micheal Chandler how important this fight will be to his career. He needs the momentum now more than ever to get back to winning ways. If you watch Tony Ferguson over the years, then you'll know that he is an unpredictable monster that likes to mess around with his opponents, have an offensive submission advantage over Chandler. but that may not be enough to get him a win. If you watch our last video on Tony Ferguson, then you already know what we think about him. Not many men can handle going from being regarded as the next big thing with a 12-winning streak to losing 3 in a row. If Ferguson can tap into the raw energy that made him loved by MMA fans from all over the world, then he has this fight in the bag. Chandler said he would use a fast-paced match to his advantage, but being the animal that Tony Ferguson is, it will not be enough. We also have to remember that Ferguson is a creative fighter and can pull creative strikes out of thin air. The fact that he isn't a predictable fighter means most of the strategies Chandler plans to use may not work, giving Ferguson the upper hand. The mixed martial arts scene can be ruthless to fighters who lose their way on their journey to the top. We have seen new faces that start off great with a run of wins and disappear into the abyss. Tony Ferguson is in danger of becoming a washed-up fighter, and he knows that. A Ferguson matchup is always fun to watch, and you never know what he's going to do whenever he steps into the octagon. Ferguson has a lot of riding on his next fight, and we believe he's going to come out victorious when he eventually faces Micheal Chandler. In reality, things don't turn out as we always expect, and when these fighters get in the ring, all we can do is watch until a winner emerges. We believe in Tony Ferguson, but his supporters have to be ready to accept defeat if he falls to Micheal Chandler. But before Tony Ferguson retires, his fight with Micheal Chandler might be the last dance he needs to solidify his legacy. With so much going on in the lightweight division these days, it won't take much to get the contract signed so that fans can get an exact date and venue. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and comment below who you think will win in the Tony Ferguson vs Micheal Chandler matchup. Make sure to subscribe to our channel if you don't want to miss out on all the action.